Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Double AK podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the top 5 books I have read in 2021. And we are back. So, do you remember last year in 2020, I made a list of the top books I have read, and it actually did really well. People actually liked that list, and some people got some really good recommendations from that. And I was like, what if I do a separate one for 2021? I think it needs an update because I've read quite a few more books in 2021 than 2020, and I'm like, yeah, that list needs to be updated, but I don't want to do it all at once. I don't want to give you a top 10 right now because we're just halfway through the year, so I want to give you a top 5. Is that okay? Are you okay with that? Okay, so let's get into it. The first one we're going to be talking about now. These books are all books I have read relating to life and growth. I really like books that talk about growth and personal development. Some people call them self-help books. That's the self-help books industry. I'm really big on those, and I also got into some fictions of recent. So let's go to number one, shall we? Number one, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, this one I always recommend. This is by, I think this is Dale Carnegie. That's his name. He wrote this book. Yeah, I think I'm right. Dale Carnegie. And this is one of the top books. If I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. This is one of the top books you should read. It may seem like a pretentious title, but it's actually very helpful. Like, you really want to learn how to win friends and influence people, not to manipulate people, but so you understand how people think. Because one of the things that they talk about the book is that people are really not interested in you. Like right now, you're really not interested in me. You are interested in what you can get out of this podcast, and I hope I can give you value so that you can enjoy your time here. So I lead with value. I lead by teaching, doing everything I can to give you the best experience possible, not just always talk about me, because it's not really about me. Like, if you want to make someone feel like you're the most interesting person in the world, just make them talk about themselves. And at the end of that conversation, they'll be like, wow, that guy was really cool. But you really didn't even say one word about yourself. You just really listened to them talk about themselves, and they loved you for it. So that's one thing. It's a great book, and we'll need to read it again before too long. I definitely will need to go back and check it out again. So let's go to number two. Number two is Range. Okay? I think I need a soundtrack for each one, right? Let's try this. Okay, so number two, the name of the book is Range by Dave Epstein. So it teaches about the power of generalists in a specialized world. So it talks about the division between a specialist and a generalist. Remember those my episodes about specialization versus generalization? Yeah, I actually talked about it, and then I read this book, and then I got a deeper spurt into the topic, and I became more of a generalist and a specialist because I learned that once you have multiple skills over time, you don't need to early specialize. You can explore your different interests, and whenever it's time to find a sub niche, you can then specialize from there. But it's not a rush to get into specialization or anything like that. So it tells of all the goods and bads of early specialization. It talks about people like Tiger Woods, that was an early specialist, and many others who weren't. It talks about like Roger Federer, who didn't specialize early. He did many different sports before he became professional tennis, and other things like that. So it shows alternative pathways to conventional wisdom. And I think that's the best part about this book. It just tells you that you don't have to follow one particular path. You don't have to say, oh, I need to specialize now. I need to become a doctor before I am 23. You can actually take your time, do things you want to do. You can actually work in a mechanic shop, work as a barista. What's the word in a bar? Forgive me for forgetting these words. You know the word, the blank word, yeah. Work in a coffee shop, serving coffee, work in a bar, work in a hospital, work by the side of the road selling fruits, whatever. You can do whatever you want to do. Work on YouTube and podcasting like I'm doing right now. And you don't have to follow a conventional route. You can just explore different things. And when the time comes to specialize, you do that, okay? So let's move on to number 3 on our list, shall we? Number three. Okay, let's bring up the heat. So number 3 is Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. That's right. Nigerian writer makes my top 5 list. Let's go. And the reason this book is off here is because this book talks about different things. It details the Biafra War in Nigeria, and it's actually a very detailed story. Like, it's very compelling narrative. It's actually a fiction, but it's told in such a way that it could actually be reality. It's like, I don't know what they call it in literature, but it's like a writer writes from a perspective of someone who could have lived in the time of past prehistoric events. So it's like writing from the perspective of the past, but it's not really fiction, but they're not true stories, but they could be elements of true stories, if you understand what I mean. It's a powerful and compelling story. And some history details I might not completely agree with, but it helped stir up a conversation. Like, they had some parts about it, I was like, is this how it really happened? I had to go talk to my grandfather and ask him, hey, what do you remember about this Biafra War? How was it? Like, who was really the victim and everything like that? So, once again, people remember historical events differently, but this book really changed my mindset about many things, and it teaches you a lot about Nigerian culture. So, folks, if you're struggling with finding about Nigeria, read Chimamanda Adichie's books, because, spoiler alert, another one of her books is going to end up in my top 5. Number four, number 4, yeah. So on number 4, now I love this book, personally. I love this book. And I know I talked about a lot of self-help, but for some reason, I have been getting into a lot of fiction in my past few books, and this one is no different. It's The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins. Like, you know, I've done an episode about this one in the past. I'll link it below, or you just go scroll through my other episodes and find it. By the way, just check out some older episodes and tell me what you think about them. You join the community on Instagram and everything like that, but we'll figure that later on. But let's go into this particular one. Now, easily my favorite fiction book of the decade. This book, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, it goes deeper into the Hunger Game trilogy. Like, you remember the Hunger Games, right? You remember how Katniss Everdeen was put on fire, was a girl on fire, and Rue was shot, and Rue died, and then we ended up with the movie. Okay, I don't want to blow into the microphone. Let me try it. Yeah, remember all that? Yeah, this book goes into the origin stories, and oh my gosh, it gives you so much sympathy for different characters. I won't spoil it too much, but if you haven't read this book by now, what are you waiting for? Go and read it. At least go and listen to the audiobook if that's what it takes. I listened to the audiobook myself. You can check out links to Kindle audiobooks or in my description, or you can actually just go over to Libby.com if you have a library card. I talked about this in a previous episode too. So I'm giving you access to all the audiobooks you want forever. If you have a library card, you get a lot of free audiobooks, so you can listen that way too. But links in the description, guys, to all the books I'm talking about. Please check them, and I might earn a small commission by using those links. So support the channel and support in any way you find to do. So check out my full episodes, and all the links will be there. Okay, so let's go to number 5. Now, have you note the way I structure this list? The number 1 through 5. I need to, 1 is not my favorite, 5 is not my least favorite, but they just structure them in other words so I can give space, so I can different concepts and different topic structures, so that at the end of the day I will have a comprehensive 5 list. So this number 5 is actually my favorite for this season, and I'll tell you why right after I tell you the title of the book. And the book that makes my top 5, I don't have a drum roll. That's not a drum roll I need. I need a okay, just try again. The book that makes my number 5 in the list is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Woo-hoo. Yeah. She makes my top 5 again for the second time. Wow, she's on fire in my lists of my recommendations. Keep it going. So, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's book Americana is special. The inspiration for this new podcast series. Now, this is season 2 is coming up for the podcast, and in August we're going to be starting a new series. Now, I'll tell you a bit about the series, like a kind of like a prequel to what the series is going to be about, because in the new series we're going to be talking about life transitioning to America. All this while we've been talking about life of an African who lived in America and moving back home, like me. But I want to tell the reverse narrative. Like when I went to school initially, the changes I had to encounter and all the things I had to go through and all the things I had to learn and all the cultural differences that you would not know if you have lived in America all your life, or if you're an American, or if you are someone from a different culture. Things that will really intrigue you. I'm going to be talking about them. I'm going to be breaking them down, not just from my life, but from generalized culture. So the book was so striking and compelling narrative for those living in America from Africa. I mean, you have to read it. You do have to read it. All of our examples hit so close to home. You could tell it was written by someone who lived it. Excellent writing. Like every step of the way, she kills this, bro. She kills this book. I don't know how she does it, but she has a superpower. Like if there was a Lionel Messi of books, she would be the one I'll pick. Excellent book, Chimamanda Adichie. Excellent book. So, what are you waiting for? If you have never read any of her books, please go read it. Read one of them. Like you must have heard of them, other famous Nigerian authors, but she's like the new generation, guys. You should check out her books. I mean, yeah, there were some scenes in there that were very, very provocative in her books and sensual. Yeah, they do exist in the book, but I mean, yeah, they're there, but do with them what you please. You can get over them. You just go through. But the main concepts, the main themes of the book, the main topics are just excellent. And I'm like, wow, she killed it. She did such a wonderful job. And I am so proud to have a Nigerian on my list twice in my top 5 list. She did a great job. So check out these books, guys. All the links are in the description below. You can support the channel on PayPal, whatever you do. And if by any means, the best support you can actually give to this channel is to listen to it and to leave a review. You can leave a review on whenever you listen to your podcast, Apple or wherever. And also, more important than that, just let me know what you think about this podcast. Links to the Instagram page. Yes, we do have an Instagram page for the podcast now, the Average African Kid Podcast. I knew I said I wasn't going to get one yet, but hey, we did eventually get one, and you have the links below. So check out the podcast on Instagram. Check out everything else related to that, Life Exactly, and everything. So we're making progress. We're making slow but steady progress on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, and everything. So thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful day. I'll lead with some more content later on. Bye-bye.